So another on repeat that I say at the clinics is ride, 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 don't steer. Now we've been through a bit of this in probably the round yard video that I've done previously. But again, why it's important to get that horse off your leg is that so that as we're coming around, I want you to ride your horse back to where you want to go, not steer, because when you steer your horse, particularly at pace, you can end up blowing them out, blowing their hips out. So ride, ride, ride to get back over there, to push your horse around the circle. So constantly, as soon as people get a little bit panicky out of their comfort zone, they grab their reins like this and they start doing that. No. And then what happens there is that the harder you pull here, generally the more you grab with your inside leg to grip. But instead, put your hand up on your head so that you're not over pulling your horse and just start pushing him around with that outside leg. Right? So ride, ride, ride is just on repeat. And part of that, so where people get beaten on the field or in the camp or outside at a draft, doesn't really matter. It's always that inside turn about is where they're getting beaten. They can't make that inside turn to like get inside that beast or to you're playing a 3 and your number 1's coming around the outside and you can't quite tighten up that turn enough and they beat you around the corner. So left or right doesn't matter. There seems to be like a pressure bubble in here. Right, so it's not up his front end, it's probably from about your girth backwards to his hips. The pressure bubble here. And that's where he doesn't want to go because it's getting too difficult, right? So we need to train our horses to yield into the pressure. And like that's just mental pressure there. So we need to teach them that and yielding meaning soft feet. They need to get soft feet into this area. So to drift in soft feet into that pressure is what we want. But what happens is that when we are under pressure when we're playing, whatever game we play, and we need to get back into that spot and we can't get to, we're getting beaten, what happens is we tend to pull harder rather than ride harder. And pulling harder, so like we're coming in here on a right hand arc, there's the pressure bubble. We can't make it, like we're under pressure, we can't make it. So what we're gonna do is most people they start just pulling harder, right? And that's the correct option, that his front end comes through, or that he gets a stop and his front end comes through, or however it wants to go. And our horse is still using the thinking yielding part of their brain, not the reactive. But when we're under pressure, we push the horse into the reactive side of their brain, and the harder we pull, the worse it gets. So there's that pressure bubble again. So our horse is avoiding it by running away. So what happens is, there it is, it stayed there. The harder we pull, and that horse will skip. You see you see him skip sideways, avoiding that. And then what happens, eventually they get pulled down enough, they kick their hips out, and then they ride back. Right? Pressure's back on the inside. What they do is you end up pulling harder, but you end up your horse skips away from the pressure. He's avoiding that pressure until he does a horrible turn by throwing his ass. And then you can ride back, but that cow's beating you, the one's throwing the goal. So the horse runs away from the pressure. The other thing they do is, if they're going a little bit better than that, is they avoid it. Pressure bubble there. As you pull harder, they avoid that pressure bubble by stopping and giving themselves one of these. But the same thing, it's too slow. You can't. It's just too slow when they give themselves room. See how he gives himself room with his hindquarters to get through, rather than actually picking himself up, staying soft and getting through that turnaround. Right, so it's all part of it, and that's why you got to ride through that pressure. And then when we're training them young horses to handle that pressure, right, I want to dissipate this bubble as much as I can. You know, and it starts when you're mouthing them. It starts really early, and I want to be able to give the horse a break. We can stop, give him a mental pat, right? Take the pressure off. But you want to take the pressure off when his feet are soft, right? Feet are soft, no resistance, and he's now in that pressure. And if you can make a horse yield into that pressure bubble, well, there's probably not much you can't do with them after that.